Hey, rock stars, let's get rolling. Welcome to another math video from yours truly, TallTal. Today we are going to talk about the middle, or shall I say the mean, median, and mode, the measures of the middle. I'm real excited to work with you today. I think you're going to have a good time. I think you're going to possibly have some review here. This may be something you've learned at a lower level, age level, maybe in elementary school, late elementary school. Maybe this is something that's meeting you in the middle school level. Middle, it's a measure of the middle. Hey, do you know why the football coach went to the bank? Yep. He wanted to get his quarterback. Quarter, that's money. His quarterback, that's the guy that throws the ball. It's the quarterback. It's a math thing. Okay, so today we're going to use data points to determine mean, median, and mode. And again, this may be review. If so, review. If this is not a review, dig in, learn this. You're going to need this for a lot of upcoming work heading your way. So we're going to use mean, median, and mode as a measure of the middle or a measure of the center of data points. Okay, so let's do a little vocab, measure of center, since I just said that. So the measure of center is a value, and this is going to be done in different ways, that attempts to describe this set of data, like a collection of number, a collection of research data points that you have worked on, to identify the central position. In other words, mean, median, and mode. So the measure of center is a way to find the central position of the data point, and we can do it in several different ways. But today we're going to focus on mean, median, and mode. All right, so the mean, all right, I'm not going to dive into this much because I'm going to teach it to you in a little bit, but a mean is the calculated average of a set of numbers, okay? So if you have worked with the word average before, if you have worked with that before, this will become a lot simpler for you because that is exactly what mean means. All right, so I think you will enjoy that. All right, mode is the number in our data points, the number that appears the most, mode and most in that set of numbers. All right, so this is probably the easiest one to figure out. It actually is the easiest one to figure out. It's the one that appears the most when you have a collection of data points. We're going to dive into that. Also, the median, another word that I want you to think about when you're doing median is the middle. Okay, so when we have this data point, and we're trying to find the median, we want to find the middle of the data point. And this word is going to be huge when we work on that. Okay, so all the middles. All right, so this lesson is about finding the different ways to look at the middle or look at data and find the central or middle position. All right, so there are more than one way to look at it. Okay, so let's check them out. First of all, we're going to focus on mean, median, and mode. And these are the three most popular ways that we look at measuring the middle in the math world. All right, so to explain these three, I think it's easier if we do this by using some data. All right, so let's create a scenario. All right, so let's say we collected some data on the amount of Netflix episodes people watched in the 7 different houses in your community. All right, so we went to 7 houses and we asked them the question, how many Netflix episodes do you guys watch each month? Okay, and here's the data we collected. All right, here's our 7 houses. The first house collected, they said 12 episodes a month. House 2, 10 episodes a month, and so forth. You can see the data. Okay, so this is the data we're going to use as we learn mean, median, and mode. All right, so let's start with mode. I told you it was the simplest, so let's start with the simple and work our way up. Okay, so here's that same data in a list. So I took that data from the Netflix data that we collected and just put it down in this order, which is the direct order that we collected it. Okay, so when we're trying to find the mode, all we're trying to find is the data point that appears the most. Is there a number that appears more than the other numbers, okay? And so most is the key word. So get that, say it out loud 3 or 4 times right now, mode and most, mode and most, mode and most. So you can kind of connect those two when you're trying to figure out finding a measurement of middle. All right, and so is there a number that appears the most? Yeah. In this situation, we have 12. It appears twice. All the other numbers just appear one time. So the number that appears the most is 12. So that is our mode. The mode equals 12. I told you that one was easy. You don't have to do anything to the numbers. You just look at them and say, okay, I got a number that appears twice, so that's my mode. You may have, if there was another 5 in there, you may have a mode of 12 and 5 because those are the 2 numbers that appear the most. All right. Mean. All right, so this is the most common one that you will use when you're dealing with measure of the middle. Okay, you're going to be dealing with this when you're trying to calculate your grades and figure out what your average is for your score in a class. There's a lot of different ways we do this. In sports, this is used all over the place. Okay, So here's that same data list, okay? And now let's try the mean. So remember, the definition of that was the calculated average of a set of numbers, which means we have a set of numbers and we want to try to find out, like, what is the average? What is that place that kind of represents all this data and makes it make sense for us, okay? So to calculate the average, we do two things. We add up all the data points, okay? So that's why I have that highlighted right there. We add up all the data points and then we divide those data points by the number of values, okay? So we'll dive into that a little bit deeper right about now, all right? So we add up the data points. So first we add up all those numbers. Here's our data points, and I just put them down here so that I could add them up, all right? 12 plus 10 plus 15 plus 7 plus 9 plus 12 plus 5 equals 70. Step one. Now we have a total. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is divide that number. We're going to divide the 70 by the number of values, okay? The number of values. So what does that mean? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values. All right, so we have 7 values, so we're going to divide it by 7, okay? And once we do that, it's going to give us an answer. 70 divided by 7 is 10. That is actually the answer to our question. That's the mean. All right, so the mean is we take all those numbers, we add them up, and we divide it by 7 so we can find that measure of middle that says all these numbers are pretty close to 10. It's the middle point of these numbers, okay? The calculated average. And next up is the median, all right? And if you remember the definition, I said the median is the middle of the sorted data set. And I gave you a hint. You know I did. I gave you a hint on what how to solve this. So sorted means we can't just look at this and say, where's the middle? We have to sort them in order from least to greatest first, okay? So I went ahead and took those numbers and sorted them. All right, the smallest number was 5, so I put it first. Boom. And then it was 7, and then it was 9, and then it was 10, and it was 12. All right, so now this is our new list. And the median is the middle of the sorted data set. So we look at it and we say we have 7 spots, right? So what would the middle of 7 be, right? We have 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and here is our middle because it's the one that's left by itself. And I know you might be saying, like, what happens if there's so that was 7 data points. What happens if there's an even number? We're going to get to that in a second, okay? So because 10 is our middle section of that data, all right, so we said 10 fits directly in the middle of all that data. That is our median. Our median equals 10. Groovy, right? But hang on a second. What if we have an even number of data points? All right, so now I just added a data point to that list. So now we have 8 pieces of data instead of 7. So you're going to run into this situation. You're going to need to know how to solve it. So what do? We sort it first. We put them in order. And then what do? We find the middle. So in this case, there are 3 on each side and we have 2 in the middle. Pay attention right now. This is key. Huge moment. If we have 2 numbers that represent the middle of our data points, after we've sorted them, all we have to do is find the mean of those 2 numbers. What's the average of those 2 numbers? And how do we solve average? All right, we add the 2 numbers and divide it by the number of data points. So we add these up and divide it by the number of values, and there was 2 values. So we take 9 plus 10 equals 19. And since we're trying to find the mean of 2 numbers, we divide that number by 2. And when we do, it ends up being 9.5. All right, so here it is, 19 divided by 2. We can do that on a calculator, or you have an understanding of how to divide by 2, then you're going to say that's going to be 9.5. So this one, our median is 9.5, and that's literally not even a number that's in our set, which is totally fine. Because when you get to start averaging school grades, you'll realize you're going to get an average of 87.34792. It could be an irrational number as your answer. But all you do, if you have an even set, find the 2 middle numbers after you've sorted, find the average or the mean of those 2 numbers, and that becomes your median. All right, let's fill in the blank time. Blank is the calculated average of a set of numbers. This is your key word, average. Average is the same thing as mean. All right, the middle of the sorted list of numbers is called the median, okay? And the median is right here. Whenever we say this, it's kind of interesting. We always say mean, median, and mode, mean, median, and mode. You can look up a bunch of different videos on YouTube. You can hear your teacher probably say it out loud. You can hear your parents say, oh yeah, mean, median, and mode. Guess what of those words is in, which of those words is in the middle? Median. It's another clue. The middle of the sorted list gives us the median, all right? Blank is a number that appears the most, the most. Okay, so the most is our, the most is mode. Okay, and then finally, mean, median, and mode are different ways to measure the middle or measure the center of your data point. What is harder to catch the faster you run? Your breath. I'm so exhausted.